Hi everyone, happy Sunday. Thanks so much for joining me back in my kitchen. Happy Sunday. Did I just say that? Okay, pregnancy brain. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm very excited to be cooking with you tonight. What we're cooking is something called gnudi. The G is silent and it actually means naked in Italian. So if you can imagine the filling of a ravioli without the actual ravioli portion of it, then you have gnudi. So what I like to call it are dumplings, like the Italian version of dumplings. We're going to mix together ricotta cheese, spinach, eggs, Parmesan cheese, and a couple of other ingredients to hold it together. We're going to boil them, serve them over some marinara, and served with a side of roasted vegetables. So it sounds like it's a complicated recipe, but it's not very complicated, I promise you. And I think you'll find that it's one of those recipes that's kind of fun to make. We do get our hands a little bit dirty, so if you're wearing any rings, you might want to take those off. So yeah, this is going to be a really, really delicious recipe. I'm very excited. I made it earlier this week just to kind of test it out, and everybody here loved it. So we're bringing it back and making it again. Hey, Jean. Yay, you're cooking with me tonight. I'm so excited. You're going to love this. You're going to love this so much. So the first thing, if you are cooking with me, that you're going to want to do is get your oven preheated to 425. We're going to roast our broccoli, our onion, and our mushrooms at 425. So let's get that preheated. And then after you do that, let's also go ahead and fill up a large pot of water. We're going to use this to boil the gnudi in. So it doesn't have to be giant. Work with whatever pot you have. We can do it in batches if we need to. So I'm going to go ahead and fill my pot of water up. I've already got my oven preheating. Hey, Kathleen. How are you? Good to see you. Just making some gnudi here, filling up a pot of water. Also, go ahead and put a generous handful of salt in your water. We do want to use some salted water to boil the gnudi in tonight. And has anybody ever had gnudi before? Hey, Michelle. Yay, Michelle's cooking too. Oh, this is so exciting. I'm so excited for everyone to taste how delicious, whoa, this recipe is. Okay, let's get this pot of water on the stove. I'm also, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and put some salt in the pot. So we're just doing some minor prep right now. So if you just tuned in and you are cooking with me, let's go ahead and preheat your oven to 425. And we'll also get out your sheet pan with some foil for those roasted vegetables that we're going to do. And then get out a large pot of water. We are going to add some salt. Hey, Evan, what's going on? So I do a generous little palmful of salt. We're not going to be drinking this water, so we're not going to be consuming all of the salt. But when you're cooking pasta or anything where you're boiling it in and discarding the liquid, you do want to add a pretty good amount of salt just to help flavor your food. We'll put a lid on it. Let's go ahead and get the heat on this, and we'll get this boiling. I'm going to turn it to about a medium heat. And then I'm also going to go ahead and put some foil on my sheet pan. You can also use a baking dish so that you don't need foil. Whatever works for you. Or if you don't have any foil, just spray your pan. It'll help you do a little less cleanup. So has anybody ever had gnudi before? Do you know what it is? Have you heard of it? When I made it earlier this week, I actually realized that I like it even more than gnocchi. Gnocchi is kind of like the cousin to gnudi. Gnocchi is similar ingredients, but instead of ricotta cheese, potato is used. And we made gnocchi not too long ago. Hey, Joe. Will the recipe be posted after the live, or do I need to take notes? I haven't been posting the recipes, but the ingredients are posted. So if you want to, you can watch the show right now and take some notes if you'd like. But I will, in the future, start to post the recipes. Just had a lot of other things on my plate right now, so I haven't had the chance to do that. But I'm excited that you'll be cooking this. I think you will love it. Okay, so gnudi water's boiling, oven is preheated. Let's go ahead and chop up our vegetables, and we're gonna get these roasting. So we've got broccoli here, and really no strict rules for cutting your broccoli. The only thing I'll say is, one, try to cut some of the nubs off the end, maybe about half an inch. It gets a little woody and fibrous at the end there, and it's just not very pleasant to eat. And the other thing is to just chop all of your pieces roughly the same size. So, we're using mushrooms tonight too, and these are already pre-sliced. So I'm just going to try as much as possible to match the size of the mushrooms here with the broccoli. Again, this just helps everything cook at relatively the same rate. So we have all of our vegetables the consistency of them is similar. So you don't have some like rock hard broccoli pieces and some shriveled up overcooked mushrooms, because that's not fun. And I'm going to go ahead and just throw these right on the sheet pan behind me. And we can dress them up with some olive oil, some balsamic vinegar, salt and pepper, right on that cookie sheet, or in your pan, whatever you're using. So you can always serve this with any vegetable that you have. If you didn't want to take the time to roast the vegetables, you could do a quick side salad. If you buy like a big container of mixed greens or just a bag of spinach, just simply dress it with a little bit of olive oil and balsamic vinegar. Salads don't have to be super fancy every time you have them. It's important to just get them in and help balance your meals out with some of those non-starchy vegetables. Tonight we are loading up on the broccoli, which is a cruciferous vegetable. Lots of wonderful cancer-fighting components found in cruciferous vegetables. I always say try to make a goal of eating your cruciferous vegetables at least 3 times a week if you can. Does that sound like a lofty goal to everybody? Let me know. Is 3 times a week of eating broccoli, cauliflower, and kale a bit too much? So when I made this earlier this week, we did have, what did we have with it? You know what? I don't think I had anything with it. I think it was just the gnudi. And we were all kind of like, it's not enough really. It doesn't really complete the meal. So let's have a little extra, a little something with it. All right. And then the onion, you can use any onion that you have. I've got a yellow onion here. So I'm going to use this whole thing. I'm just going to chop the ends off here. Oh, I missed a piece of broccoli here. Don't know how that happened. So for those of you who are cooking with me tonight, let me know how things are going. If you have any questions, you know the drill. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Too slow, let me know. Michelle is saying, no, never too many cruciferous vegetables. I love kale. Glad to hear it. Okay, back to the onion. So I chopped off both my ends here. I'm just going to make one cut down the middle. This is going to help us peel those papery outer layers right off. Perfect. And then again, cutting them into relatively the same size as everything else. You can afford to go a little bit bigger on the onion because the onion cooks up pretty quickly. It is a little bit thinner. Okay, I'm going to throw these on the sheet pan. I love onion. Love roasted onion especially. I'm going to move these scraps out of the way. Got our little compost container here. Things aren't going to compost very quickly in the winter, especially not here in Peoria because it's like 7 degrees outside right now. But once the weather gets a little bit warmer, it'll have its chance. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and just open these mushrooms, dump them right on. If you bought whole mushrooms, go ahead and give them a quick chop. I know this looks like a lot of volume here, but things are going to reduce quite a bit. Okay, little bit of olive oil. We'll also do a little bit of balsamic vinegar. And you can use really any vinegar that you have on hand. I just really like balsamic vinegar on this. Excuse me. I'm going to do a couple pinches of salt. And some pepper. And go ahead and just toss everything together. Use your hands, use a spoon, whatever you want. Oh, this smells so good. And it hasn't even cooked yet. Love it. And if this seems like too many vegetables, you're like, there's no way I'm going to eat all these vegetables tonight. That's beautiful, because then you have already cooked vegetables for the rest of your week. Maybe not the rest of your week, but at least a couple days, maybe a day or two. I think that's half the battle of eating our vegetables, is having them prepared and ready to eat. Okay, we're going to spread everything out as evenly as we can. I'm going to give my hands a quick rinse and then just throw this right into the oven. And these guys will cook up as we are making our gnudi. Right. Again, for those of you who are just tuning on, that oven is at 425 and those veggies are roasting. So let's get to making some gnudi, shall we? The first thing we'll do is put our spinach in a colander. If you're using frozen spinach, hopefully you saw the post yesterday or this morning about letting your frozen spinach sit out so that it has some time to thaw. If you didn't see that and your spinach is still frozen, don't worry about it. You can pop it in the microwave for about a minute or a minute and a half, and that will help thaw things out. If you have a particular way of thawing your frozen vegetables in the microwave, like you have a certain button you like to use, go ahead and use that however you want. I'm going to go ahead and just take mine out. So we are using a, I think this is a pound, or not a pound, 10 ounces of frozen cut spinach here. I'm going to use a little extra because I'm actually doubling my recipe tonight. So we're cooking for 4 people. But in any event, let's go ahead and get that spinach draining. Right. Okay, so while we have that going, let's go ahead and get out a large mixing bowl. This is what we're going to use to mix all of our gnudi ingredients in. So I'm going to just put this cutting board aside. I'm going to let Kiki just eat these little broccoli pieces that are on my counter. I'm just going to wipe those on the floor so she can have them. Lucky you, Kiki. All right. And so, got a big bowl here. We're also going to want our ricotta cheese. I've got a little one left in this guy, which is why I've got 2 of them here. We're also going to want 5 eggs. We want salt and pepper, as usual. A little bit of olive oil. We're going to do a little bit of nutmeg. We're going to need a cup of Parmesan cheese. Awesome if you already have it grated. If not, and it's in a chunk like this, no worries. We can just grate it right now. And then, of course, our flour, because we do need a little bit of flour to help hold everything together. So let's go ahead and get all these ingredients in the bowl. The first thing, let's do 1.5 cups of ricotta cheese. I'm going to use a measuring cup. Normally I don't, but for things like this that I don't make a ton of, I want to make sure that my ratios are accurate. So that's a half a cup. I'm gonna grab a spoon real quick and get all of this cheese out. Does anybody else like ricotta cheese, or do you use it for other things? This is usually, you know, a filling for ravioli or lasagna. It's in lasagna. But what I really love to do sometimes is if I have it on hand, I'll spread it on toast and top it with some fruit like berries or pears or bananas. It's really good. And ricotta is a good source of protein. It's a decent source of protein. All right, so here's a cup. We want a cup and a half, so let's get a full cup and a half in there. I'm gonna have to open this guy, which is why I bought it. Have to cut that seal there. And one more half cup here. Okay, looking good. I'm gonna give this measuring cup a quick rinse. Actually, no, I'm just gonna stick it in the sink. Give my hands a quick rinse though. Okay, let's also do our Parmesan cheese. 1 cup, so go ahead and put that in. I am gonna go ahead and just grate this in here. I am gonna eyeball the Parmesan cheese. I have a feeling it's gonna be like this whole hunk. So what does everybody else do with ricotta cheese? Anything else? Or is it not really a staple at your house? I wouldn't call it a staple at our house, but every now and then we get the kick to buy it at the grocery store. And then you kind of have to get creative with the uses, right? Even if you buy it for something in particular, you've got all this ricotta on hand, and you're like, oh, how am I going to use this? I'm telling you, that ricotta toast, it's a good way to use it. Okay, once we've got our cup of Parmesan, let's go ahead and get our eggs in. So what we're going to do with these 5 eggs is we're going to use 3 of them whole, and 2 of them we're going to use just the yolks. So let's start with the whole. 1, 2, 3, and then let's go ahead and separate eggs. Does everybody know how to separate eggs? If not, I'm going to show you a really easy way. Just crack it like you normally would an egg, and then when you open it, try to pop it up right side up so that the yolk sits in one side, and then just kind of wiggle that white out of there. You can also kind of throw it back and forth like that, and then you've got your yolk. So we'll just plop that in, and then one more. Whoop. There we go. Awesome. I'm gonna give my hands a quick rinse. And then while you're over at the stove, go ahead and squeeze your spinach. So you'll just grab it by the handful, squeeze it, and try to get as much liquid out as you can. Might need to do it in batches. I know I do. And you know what? I said that I was cooking for more. We're all actually following the same recipe. Sorry about that. I hope that wasn't confusing. Michelle says, usually lasagna, going to try toast. Yes, so good. Okay, and then just kind of break apart that spinach and throw it right in your bowl. Frozen vegetables are always really good to have on hand. The spinach is really coming in hot for this recipe. I always get the question, are fresh or frozen vegetables healthier? And a lot of times, and what most people don't know, is that frozen vegetables are actually oftentimes healthier. they do have more nutrition because they've been picked or harvested at their peak nutrition time or ripeness, and then they've been frozen, and freezing them at that point locks in all of the nutrition. So think about that compared to vegetables that have traveled from California, say, to wherever you are. All that time it spends on the truck means that it's reducing its nutrient content. Okay, got your spinach in there. Let's go ahead and do our salt and pepper. I'm going to do about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper. And then we're also going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Got the salt in there. Put these guys aside here. And then our nutmeg. The nutmeg is kind of an interesting ingredient. You don't really taste it too much. It just, honestly, I don't know what it does. But there's a lot of recipes that use nutmeg in gnudi, so I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to mess that one up. I'm going to leave that one in there. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to do about 7 tablespoons of flour. So again, I would use a measuring utensil for this. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's leave that flour out because we might need a little bit more if you find that it's too sticky and it's not really working with you. Okay, go ahead and grab a spoon and get to mixing. Hey Lisa, hey Sandy, how are you guys doing? We are making gnudi, spinach ricotta gnudi. And you'll see everything will come together just sort of as a kind of like a wet pasty filling. Just imagine it would be like a ravioli filling. And we are going to get our hands a little dirty, and so that's why we wanted to leave the flour out as well. And so in an effort to not contaminate your beautiful bag of flour, I would recommend getting a separate bowl out and just add a little extra flour in there. So your filling should be pretty sticky. It should stick together quite well. So that's what mine looks like. Looking good, looking good. Okay, I'm gonna grab a little container here and just pour some flour in because I know I'm gonna need it. Okay, and then go ahead and get a plate, or go ahead and get a plate out. We're gonna want to put these, or you can use your cutting board actually. We're gonna shape the gnudi with our hands, and then we're gonna put it on the cutting board, and we'll drop it in that boiling water. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of flour to my cutting board so it doesn't stick. If you have a wooden cutting board, I recommend doing that because it might stick a little. And if you are eating gluten-free, you can absolutely use a gluten-free flour when doing this. Okay, we'll put a little flour on our hands here. We'll scoop out a little bit of this gnudi, and we're just going to patty it up. You can make them as big or as small. I'm using roughly 2 to 3 tablespoons of mix here. And so you want to sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top and the bottom of your gnudi just to help them kind of stay together. And then you can tap off any excess flour that's sitting on top. So it looks like that, just like a little patty. And we'll drop them into boiling water and we'll be good to go. If you have kids, this might be a fun recipe to do because it does use your hands and it gets a little messy, so that can be kind of fun. It might create more of a mess for you to clean up afterwards, but it's all in good fun. Oh yeah. I have to say I was like pretty surprised with the first time I made these, just how simple it was. It's kind of like things are a little questionable when you put the filling in your hands the first time. You're like, oh, this is sticking everywhere. But as long as you're flouring your hands in between, it's a little easier and things don't stick together as much. You're still gonna have some pretty like gummy, sticky, floury fingers at the end of it. So expect that. And once you get about 6 to 8 gnudi, depending on the size of your pot, you can go ahead and drop those in, or we can just make them all at one time. Looking good. So Jean, if you have a companion there that can type in the computer for you, I'm just curious how everything's going. How are you doing? How's the babe? Jean is a new mom, so I just like to ask to see how things are going. Most of you know that I'm also expecting and I'm due in March. Things are going well. Getting a little back pain, but really that's it. If you ask my husband, he would also say I'm not doing a very good job at managing my blood sugar because I'm getting hungry a lot. But that's another story. We don't have to talk about that. Hey, Diane. You made it just in time for the fun part, where our hands get all nice and sticky. Hey, Shelly. What's going on? Right, almost there. I am going to make all of these and then throw them in the pot of boiling water. I figured we'll just, get our hands dirty one time. Be a little bit easier. Hey, Sarah. Thanks for tuning in. We're making gnudi. Ever had gnudi before? This is what it looks like. Pre-cooked. Looks like not much really is going on. Jean was saying, it's good. My mixture was super runny, so I added more flour and Parmesan. Perfect. I didn't strain the spinach enough, I don't think. Yeah, you really got to squeeze that spinach or else all that excess water will make it a little runny. That's okay though. You knew exactly how to fix it. More flour. If it's too liquidy, add a little more flour. Baby is great. She is sitting here next to me watching me cook. Oh, I have a picture I'll send you after. Yay. I can't wait to see it. I love that she's watching you cook. Pretty soon she'll be in the kitchen with you. And she can help you. Although that might sometimes be more work than just cooking yourself. But that's not the point, I know. Yes, Sarah Staub said the picture looks good. Yes, it was tasty. I'm excited to eat it again. What's not to love about the filling of ravioli? Spinach and ricotta. So good. So we are taking a little bit of a shortcut tonight. You see that there was marinara sauce in the ingredient list. And you could make your own at home. It's really easy to make. You can just open up a can of crushed tomatoes, maybe a little tomato paste, add some spices, some herbs, but I just figured it would be one extra thing to throw together. And with this being a new and slightly involved recipe, I thought it would just be easier to buy a marinara sauce and just heat it up either on the stove or in the microwave. So you can do it however you want. I chose to keep it super simple. And there's so many options for marinara sauce or spaghetti sauce, and a lot of them are pretty good. You just want to look for something that's got all whole ingredients that you can recognize the names of. And sometimes there will be a little extra added sugar in there. So I would say that, added sugar and any extra preservatives and funky ingredient names would be something you would want to avoid. So just flip it over and look for that on the back. Sandy, how many did you get out of the recipe? So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 3 is 15, plus I have 1 in here, which is 16. And I think I said that I used roughly, I guess I would say a 1/4 cup of filling in each. All right, go ahead and rinse your hands once you're done. And then we'll take that cutting board over to the stove. And we'll drop these guys right in the water. So your water should be boiling by now. I have this bowl here to put the gnudi in when I'm done. Try to reduce your heat to about a medium. You want it simmering. You don't want it rapidly boiling because you don't want the boiling water to tear these guys apart. So we'll just do a light simmer and just go ahead and drop them in. They will sink to the bottom, so don't be alarmed. And don't overcrowd your pot either. So we'll see how many we can get in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll throw in maybe a couple more here. And once they float to the top, then you can scoop them out. So that's how you know they're done. They don't need a whole lot of time. While you're over here, go ahead and check on your veggies. Oh yeah, I'm calling ours done. So what I'm gonna do is turn off my oven and just leave them in there so they stay warm. Yum. Looks like we have a little bit of a mess here to clean up, but that's okay. So while those guys are cooking, go ahead and do a little bit of light cleaning. If you clean as you go, it feels like there's less to do at the end of the night. So I'm gonna go ahead and just soak this bowl here in some water, loosen up that dough so it's a little bit easier to clean. And this flour actually looks okay. I am gonna dump this back into the container just to save it. Cool. Put this on. And we can also get our marinara heating up. If you're going to heat it up on the stove, I would say start doing that now. If you're going to heat it up in the microwave, just go ahead and empty it into a microwave-safe bowl. Maybe put a cover on it if you have one. Even like a plate will work. You cover it with a plate, just because that marinara is probably going to splatter a little bit in the microwave, and it'll just be, again, less cleanup for you to do. So just to show you, this is the marinara that I'm working with tonight. It's a tomato basil marinara. It was, I think, like $3 at the grocery store. And the ingredients in here are tomato sauce, extra virgin olive oil, garlic, salt, basil, and that's it. I got this at Hy-Vee. You can always add some extra herbs in there if you want to give it a little extra flavor. We're just going to dump this in. Yeah. And I'm going to run just a tiny bit of water in this bottle, shake it up, and get all of that excess tomato sauce out. No sauce left behind. Cool. Wonderful. Ah! Okay. This is a nice bottle. I think we'll reuse this for something. Kind of looks like one of those old milk bottles. Well, for whatever reason, we can't recycle glass in Peoria. I don't know if it's a state thing or if it's a Peoria thing. So I don't know. Just trying to find uses for these bottles. All right, you can see some of our gnocchi gnudi have floated to the top. So go ahead and use a slotted spoon or anything to get them out and just stick them in a bowl here. Oh yeah. See how fast that was? Oh, they're gonna be so good. I'm so excited. A couple of them are still working on making their way to the top, so let's be patient and not rush. But we can go ahead and plop in these other ones. Oh, here he comes. Go ahead and get that one out. And that one in the middle. Oh, he was just stuck to the bottom. If one is lagging behind and it had the same cooking time, it might just be stuck to the bottom of your pan. So just try and scrape it off the bottom there and see if he floats to the top. Like that. All right, I'm gonna take this cutting board to the sink here. How's everyone doing? How are your gnudi coming along? Okay, I am going to use one of these little things to cover this. Pop it in the microwave for, I don't know, 1:30. And let's go ahead and get those veggies out of the oven. And we'll just let them sit on top of the stove. And they can have just a couple minutes to cool off before we plate them up. Oh, so good. Whoa. Everything is looking good. Perfect. Okay. We are pretty much ready to plate this up. So I'm going to grab a plate. And what I'll do is put some tomato sauce on the bottom of the plate, throw on a couple of gnudi, maybe top them with a little extra shaved parmesan, and pair it with a side of vegetables, and we'll be done. Pretty easy. Let's go ahead and put the veggies on here first, since they're ready. our hot tomato sauce here. Gotta love shortcuts. And you can put the tomato sauce over the gnudi however you want to do it. I like to just put it on the bottom here. Okay, then we'll come over here and just throw some of these guys right on top. Do 2 or 3. I'm gonna do 3. Oh, it's so good. And there we have it. Gnudi, veggies, sauce, a little extra Parmesan on top. You can see the steam. I just got this new camera, and so I'm trying to figure out how it's focusing. There we go. I'm not going to move from here. There we go, y'all. Our gnudi. I hope yours turns out just as delicious as mine. If it doesn't look, picture perfect and not perfectly round and they're not staying together, that's okay. Just try it again. Practice. You have to practice cooking, right? In order to feel a little bit more comfortable with things. So if this is the first time you're making it, I hope you had fun with it. Thank you for being here and sharing this meal with me. I'm very excited for you all to try it. So let me know if you have any questions, any other concerns with your recipe. With that being said, I'm going to wrap it up tonight and enjoy this wonderful meal with my family and come back next Sunday. I'm going to be cooking up another Italian something. It is a soup called ribollita, and it's pretty simple too to throw together. You'll have extra on hand for the rest of the week. It'll be a really nice thing to have, especially right now with this crazy weather. So thanks y'all for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.